Hi, Cody here. So today's video will not be a devlog unfortunately, but it will be about how to make basic 2D movement in your platformer in Godot. So first things first, let's open up Godot. I've made a quick game project. There is nothing in here except two folders, but both of those are empty. So first things first, let's create our scene. So I've got us in my first video on how to make how to make the movement in my game, and I decided I'm gonna make a tutorial. So first things first, there's gonna be two parts of this tutorial. We're just gonna make very simple movement, and then in the second part we'll add some other things so that the movement will feel better. So first we're gonna make a new scene which will be a node 2D, so let's call it world. Nice. And in this world we'll want to have a platform. So first we'll add a static body 2D. Nice, we have that already. And we'll also add a collision shape, and this shape will be a rectangle. So let's add that here real quick. So we have a rectangle. Nice. We have a world, a static body, and a collision shape 2D, which is a rectangle. This one will be our main platform. So when we run the game, we're gonna say select current. Actually, for the people, do not forget to turn on visible collision shapes right here, because if you don't, then you won't see the platforms and they will be invisible. So let's go ahead and say select current, call it world, and then add it in my scenes folder. And now we should have a platform which doesn't do anything. Now that we got that out of the way, we'll make a player, which will be another 2D scene, but this time instead of a node 2D, we'll want to have a character body, and for that we're gonna change the type. So we'll say change type and say character body 2D. Now the player itself needs to have a hitbox so it can interact with our little platform over here. So we'll go ahead and make a hitbox. We'll call it, we'll say collision shape. And now our player has a collision shape, but we have to also select one. But before we do that, we're gonna go ahead and also add a sprite, so that we have some visual indicators for the player, and add it right here. Now for the sprite, we'll just use the icon we get when we make a world, so this one. And we'll also go ahead and make our little rectangle. Nice. So now we have a player. Wait, let me drag this down. If you in Godot, the game renders the bottom first, so whatever is lower, it will render in front of other nodes. So in this case, my collision shape is placed lower than my sprite, so it will render in front of it. Now that we got our collision shape in place and our sprite 2D, we want to save this scene, so we'll go ahead and say Ctrl S, and then save this as player.tscn, and then go ahead and rename this to player. And now we can go to this world and Now we have to add the player to the world. So I'll go ahead and press this little chain symbol and go ahead and click on the player. Scripts player. Okay, so it says it's saved in the scripts. We'll put it here, I guess. Now we'll just go ahead and nice. Now we can add the player. So now that we have the player in the main world, we can just move the player right above our platform. And if you click play, nothing happens. So let's add a script. Let's go right back in the player scene. Press on this little icon with a green plus, and then just leave everything as is. The only thing you need to worry about is the path, so we save the path in the scripts folder. It's already, as you can see, it's already being saved in the scripts, so I'll just go ahead and select create. And now we're gonna go ahead and delete this. And we're gonna be left with just extends character body 2D. Now first, we're gonna create some variables. So we want our gravity and our speed and our jump height. So we'll go ahead and create that. We'll say var speed of type integer is equal to 400. Var gravity of type integer is equal to 900, and var jump height, so we'll say jump, of type int is equal to 600. Now that we got these values, we're gonna go ahead and create our function where we'll go and say func underline. The reason we say underline is because Godot's own functions always start with an underline. So every function that's from Godot will be with an underline, and your own function you should always name them without an underline. So we'll say physics process, just like before. And very important is we add move and slide. Now this is move and slide is what allows the player to basically move and slide. So always important to have. You basically need it in every single script about movement. And now we need to set our keys. If I go ahead, so to set our keys, we need to go ahead into the project settings. Right here, we'll say project settings, and then go from general to input map. Now in the input map, you should have the option add new action, which will call move left. We'll also call one move right, jump, and that's it. We have our move left, our move right, and our jump. Now I want my move left to be my A key, so I'll press A on the filter and I should get the A. Now I want our move right to be D, so I'll press D, and I want my jump to be space bar, so I'll press space bar, and I also want my jump to be W, so I'll also press W. So my move left is A, my move right is D, my jump is space, and my jump is also W. Now to actually use our movement, first of all we need to set up our gravity. So we have to check one thing. We have to check if the player is on the floor. So we'll do that. We'll have if not is on floor, then we'll say velocity of y plus equal to gravity times delta. Now let me actually explain what's going on here. Is on floor detects if the player is on floor, so not is on floor detects if the player is not on the floor. Velocity of y we have plus equal to gravity times delta. So what actually happens here, we have that whenever the player is not in the air, we're gonna accelerate him downwards. Now the reason we say plus and not minus, it's because in Godot the the coordinate system is for the y axis is negative is up and positive is down. So when we add values we actually go down. So the reason we add gravity times delta is because delta is the time elapsed since the last frame. Basically it's the duration of one frame in your game. So if my game is running at 60 FPS, delta would be 1 over 60, and if it's running at 120 FPS, it would be 1 over 120. Now the reason we multiply by delta is because we don't have any differential between a game at 60 FPS and a game at 120 FPS. Because if I would play the game at 60 FPS and I would not add delta, I would fall slower than if I would play at 120 FPS, because the game would add gravity every frame. At 120 FPS is twice more frames than 60 FPS. So it would fall twice as fast. So that's why we add delta. Now we have our velocity. We also could add a maximum velocity, maximum gravity. So our player doesn't fall too fast, because at the moment our gravity will keep on accelerating until the player reaches the floor, and if it doesn't reach the floor it will just keep rising and rising and rising, and maybe we want to cap that. So the very easy way to do that is just say and velocity of y is smaller than, let's say, 450. So so in this case our velocity of y will never go faster than 450. Nice. Now we want to make our inputs, so we'll say if input dot is action just pressed. Now as you can see we'll have our three options which we made before. In this case the options are jump, move left and move right. So we'll go ahead and select jump, and now whenever the W or the spacebar is pressed, the game will detect that in this if. So we'll say if input is action just pressed jump colon, and now we will say velocity of y is equal to the jump, which in this case is 600. Now we will go ahead and do the same thing for the left and right movement. In this case is if input dot is action and not just pressed but is action pressed, move left. The reason we use is action pressed is because is action pressed works for pressing down the key and then holding it down, so it's perfect for movement. But is action just press checks for a single press. So the first frame that the key is pressed, it will be detected, but if you hold the key down and you don't release it, it won't keep detecting it. Now this is perfect for jumping, and is action pressed is perfect for moving, because you don't want to keep pressing moving left and keep pressing moving right. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll say velocity of y is equal to negative speed. And now we'll say if input dot is action pressed move right, velocity of y is equal to speed. Now if I were to run the game, you'll see one problem. I said velocity of y. Let me go ahead and change that real quick here. So right now if I press run, there should be one problem, that my character doesn't stop moving when I release the key. So if you can see you can hear me pressing and then releasing. So my character doesn't stop moving. And the way we stop that, it's actually very simple. We just detect if none of the keys are being pressed. So we'll say if not input dot is action pressed move left, and then we'll say and do input and not input dot is action pressed move right, and we'll say velocity of x equal 0. So now when we actually release, the game detects that there is no input being made left or right, so it will just stop. And if I press W or jump or space, my player should jump. It looks like it doesn't jump because I see what I did. I must say equal to negative jump. I'm so sorry. So now when I press, yes, the player jumps and then it falls back. And now you've made some simple movement in your 2D platformer. Good job. Thanks for watching.